fantastic. Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin with the latest on those Southern California wildfires. This morning, the death toll has risen to 25, with more than a dozen others still unaccounted for.
This morning, firefighters are bracing for more of those destructive Santa Ana winds, which could produce gusts topping 65 miles an hour, threatening to fuel even more fiery outbreaks. So far, these fires have scorched more than 60 square miles of land in Los Angeles County. Let's put that in perspective. That's almost the size of Washington, D.C. This is poised to be one of the most expensive disasters in American history. Well, investigators say the cause of the fire is still unknown. At least 2 new lawsuits filed now blame power company SoCal Edison for failing to prevent the Eaton fire. The utility company says it will review those complaints. We are tracking the latest on those potentially destructive winds. Meteorologist Angie Lassman is standing by with the forecast. Let's begin with NBC's Steve Patterson on the ground in hard-hit Altadena, scene of the Eaton fire. Steve, let's start with more on those concerning winds. The experts at the National Weather Service, they've labeled this a particularly dangerous situation. That red flag warning set to expire at 3 o'clock today. What are firefighters waiting for until then? And if more fires should break out or pop up, are they prepared after more than a week of this fight?
Yeah, PDS is something we don't hear much. It's not a classification used often, meant to denote a particularly dangerous situation, something that's beyond the normal red flag winds that we normally have. It denotes low humidity and, of course, high winds. We're just starting to maybe feel some of the winds. Obviously, we've kind of been in a lull over the past few hours. This is toward the end of a 48-hour period where these winds are predicted to pick up. We've seen, because of that, a few brush fires, a few spot fires over the last few hours, maybe 6, maybe a handful or so of them, but firefighters right on top of them. If it means anything about what could be the next firefighters immediately putting these spot fires out almost as they come up. We've had maybe a few that have crossed over about 50 acres or so, but as soon as they do, they are immediately contained and doused and put out. Now, if the winds get serious enough, no matter what kind of capability they have, it's going to be a tough situation just because of how much brush there is still to burn in this region. And we're talking about winds in the higher elevations, 50 to 70 miles an hour, lower elevations, 30 to 50 miles an hour. That is significant. Firefighters, as you mentioned, also stretched thin. They are still spread across these 2 major fires. Containment is not full yet, which means people are still waiting to get back into their homes. And until firefighters can put out all the spots, can make sure that the embers can't travel to a new location, create a new front of the fire, they still have their hands full. And it's really now about fatigue. It's about the shifts. I mean, a lot of these guys are working 12 to 24-hour shifts, and they have been since this fire broke out. So they do have the capability to do it. It's just a matter of the critical mass of, are the winds going to affect the firefight all at once in a situation where they can't get aircraft up? We'll see. Guys?
And you can just imagine people just waiting to learn if something else could happen today, along with some families that still don't even know if their houses are standing. In certain areas, I know it's too dangerous to allow people to get in and check out their houses, like where you're at in Altadena. How are people there responding? What are you hearing from community members?
I mean, of course, it's heartbreak, guys. Of course, like the devastation is endless. It is just every single street in this area that I'm standing. We could have put this live shot the next block over. It will look very similar because there are just rows and rows of devastation. Now, saying that, I mean, coming into a zone like this, we saw a number of donation drives yesterday, people opening up their homes to the community just to take in items like baby formula, bottles of water, canned goods, all for the community here. It's very tight-knit, particularly in Altadena. At the Palisades fire, it's a little bit different of a story. We saw rows of cars going back hours that were trying to get into the zone. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, it's just too dangerous at this point. It may look like just smoldering ruins, but there is still an active fire in these zones. And until firefighters, again, can put really a nip in the bud here, it's going to take some time before homeowners can see it. It could take weeks.
Yeah, Steve, we know federal investigators, speaking of weeks, maybe months, they're searching for what ignited the Palisades fire. Real quick, where does the investigation stand this morning?
Yeah, they're particularly focused on a ridge that is above the fire sort of operation and where they believe it may have started by point of ignition. They're eliminating sort of lightning strikes. They don't think there was any utility poles in the area. So, of course, they're looking at human ignition. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was intentional, but it is on the list of possibilities as they work to narrow that down.
All right. Steve Patterson in Altadena. Steve, thank you so much.
Great reporting, Steve. Well, a critical piece of equipment in this ongoing fight are those firefighting helicopters in the sky. Our Ellison Barber went up 1,500 feet with members of CAL FIRE who have been working night and day trying to tame these fires from the air.
CAL FIRE taking us up in one of their helicopters, giving us a first-hand look at the massive, coordinated effort to battle the Los Angeles wildfires.
Air efforts are a critical part of this firefight, and you see it here. Teams are attacking these fires and hotspots like this one from the air every chance they get.
From the air, the scope of the devastation is staggering. Nearly 40,000 acres burned, entire neighborhoods leveled.
Were these houses? Was this a neighborhood?
Yes, it was.
Wow. It looks like a war zone. You can see the scale of the damage from above, and then when you look down, you can also see teams fighting hotspots that have popped up in this area. All of them up on that ridge there, moving towards that hotspot to try and get it under control.
Choppers like this are key assets in the arsenal of equipment deployed to fight the Palisades and Eaton fires. They can scoop and drop water, but can also be used to transport firefighters and equipment and look for flare-ups. CAL FIRE has its own fleet of aircrafts operating from 11 helicopter bases across the state that can reach most fires in about 20 minutes.
Hey, we have a small window with the wind driving in this direction.
Operations Section Chief Christian Litz has been leading the coordinated effort to tame the blaze, working around the clock. The father of 4 has barely seen his family. He's been home once since the fires broke out, at night and for a couple of hours, just to pick up clothes.
My wife takes care of everything. I don't have to worry about any of my house. She's a very strong woman, and a lot of our significant others have to be very strong. The only reason why firefighters can do what they do is because of the family that we have back home.
He tells us his oldest son is a new firefighter. He's part of a hand crew. As Litz fights the fires from the sky, his son is fighting them on the ground.
These teams have flown countless missions in hurricane-force winds at times. They didn't give up then. They've done this since these fires began, and they say they have no plans to stop now.
Forecasters expect red flag conditions to last through Wednesday.
Are your teams ready if event new fires do develop from these winds?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we're ready.
And for Litz, it is personal.
This fight for y'all, it is personal.
Very personal. I live in LA County. I am an LA County firefighter, and I take it very personal every fight that we go to, because it could be my house, it could be my family that's affected.
Our thanks to Ellison Barber and CAL FIRE for the view of that damage and, of course, the work those firefighters are doing. So far, the Southern California wildfires have burned around 40,000 acres.
On top of losing everything in the wildfires, many LA residents are battling another problem, skyrocketing rents. As fire victims search for temporary housing while figuring out what to do next, they're seeing prices that have spiked more than 80% since the fires broke out a week ago. Reporter Makala Medina from NBC Los Angeles takes a closer look.
I read about a Beverly Hills mansion that went up like 86%.
Real estate broker Jimmy Mercado is talking about this Bel Air mansion listed this weekend for $29,500 a month. That's up from $15,900 when it was last listed in September. The listing has since been removed, but we found other listings that show a 29 or 22% hike in prices since the days after the fire. Mercado says it's a clear example of the jacked up prices that those in need are facing right now after losing everything because of the fires.
I've had calls from people who've lost their homes and looking for places, and I know the prices have significantly increased illegally.
Illegal is the key term here. Under California law, when an emergency declaration is made, it includes a ban on increasing prices more than 10% compared to pre-disaster listings.
In one night I slept by my sister, one night I slept by My mother, one slap, I slept in the car.
Rafi Antubi is an evacuee from Malibu. He owns Rafi Lounge there. He is disgusted, he says, about the attempt to make a quick buck on a disaster that he's still trying to maneuver through.
This is the most horrible thing I've heard. That's like, for me, it's just as been as somebody who's looting.
They've increased the rent by like 30%, 50%, 60% since January 7th.
It disturbed Chelsea Clerk, an LA Tenants Union organizer, so much that she decided to track the jacked up prices on this public Google Doc and report the listings to the state and local governments.
I'd say hundreds of people have contributed. We have 465 submissions so far. We're seeing some disgusting rent gouging happening right now.
For Rafi, he hopes those trying to make a buck will get what's due.
We maybe take some money, but enjoy your jail time after. That's what I said to those people. I think right now it's the time for community to support each other.
Our thanks to Mikalo Medina for that report. There are two places that people can report these illegal price hikes. You can call 311 or submit an online complaint to the Los Angeles County government website.
Let's now get a check on the morning news now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman has the latest on another day of those dangerous winds out west. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. And as expected, those winds will ramp up here as we get into the later morning hours, specifically after 4 a.m. Pacific time. Let's take you through that red flag warning. You heard a little bit about this already. We've got 10 million people still at risk from San Luis Obispo all the way down to the Mexican border. We're going to see those wind gusts ramping up here as we get through the later morning hours, 45, 65 miles per hour. But specifically, we've talked already about that particularly dangerous situation wording that's attached to the red flag warning, the fairly rare kind of wording that you'll often see to give you that extra level of how serious this situation is across these regions. So Simi Valley, San Fernando Valley, and parts of the San Gabriel Mountains, that's where you're going to see that stay in effect here at least through 3 p.m. today. We'll maybe see that extended, but I have a feeling as our winds come down and we do see some improvements in humidity levels in the coming days, we'll start to see that kind of expire and we'll go from there. Here's the wind gusts right now. Notice 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts across parts of Simi Valley. We've got some higher amounts as you look up towards those higher elevations, the hills, the mountains, closer to 60 miles per hour. But these are going to slowly but surely start to come up here as we get into the second half of the morning. So again, those highest wind gusts closer to 65 miles per hour. As we get into the later part of our day, we're going to see those come down slightly. We're still going to see the gusty winds, but we'll gradually start to see them weaken and some improvements will be made when it comes to winds. But notice still 40 plus miles per hour across a lot of these regions closer to the coast. We've got 20s, we've got 30s out there. Now, even better conditions are expected here as we get through this overnight hours tonight and we look ahead into tomorrow. So here's overnight. Notice we're more so in the range of 35 mile per hour peak gusts. And we'll also start to see those humidity levels kind of creeping up. So for today, this is what we're looking at. Critical risk from Santa Barbara basically down to the Mexican border. We've got Temecula, Riverside, Santa Clarita included in there. But again, those conditions improve this afternoon. The setup is we've got a high pressure, no surprise, kind of sitting over the Great Basin. This has left us with that Santa Ana wind event that we've seen over the past couple of days. But notice what happens. That's going to move out of the picture. We do get some relief with humidity because our winds are going to be onshore tomorrow, guys, and that lasts until Sunday. This will add a little cloud cover and some fog for folks there, but you'll also notice that the humidity levels come up. That's an improvement. Unfortunately, early next week, we have another signal that we could potentially have another Santa Ana wind event. That means more winds, of course, offshore humidity level kind of situation. So we'll watch for that.
But they'll take a few days of not having those
Exactly.
winds to see if they can get ahead
The
of
improvements will be welcome for firefighters, for sure.
Hopefully time to get a better handle. Angie, thank you. Well, today is the second day of Senate confirmation hearings for the incoming Trump administration. His pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi and Secretary of State hopeful Senator Marco Rubio are among those facing Senate committee scrutiny. President-elect Trump's controversial pick for Defense Secretary, that's Pete Hegseth. He was in the hot seat yesterday as Democrats grilled him on past comments about women serving in combat and sexual assault allegations against him. Hegseth has steadfastly denied those allegations. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Hake has the recap.
President-elect Trump's embattled pick to lead the Pentagon, former Fox News host and combat veteran Pete Hegseth, making an impassioned pitch for the job.
That it's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm. My only special interest is the warfighter.
Arguing he's the target of false attacks.
There was a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated in the media against us.
But Hegseth facing a grilling from Senate Democrats, including over a 2017 sexual assault allegation. Police investigated, but no charges were filed. The local prosecutor saying, quote, no charges were supported by proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
You've admitted that it was consensual, and you were still married, and you just had a child by another woman. Again, how do you explain your judgment? Completely false charges against me. You fully investigated, and I was completely clear. You have admitted that you had sex while you were married to wife 2 after you just had fathered a child by wife 3. You've admitted that. Now, if it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it? It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
Republicans rallying to his defense.
We need somebody who's going to go in there and fight for innovation, fight for change. I think you're that person, and I appreciate your willingness to sit here and listen to some of these undignified attacks. It's ridiculous.
Democrats also going after Hegseth's past opposition to women in combat roles.
You will have to change how you see women to do this job well, and I don't know if you are capable of that.
But in a positive sign for Hegseth, Iowa's Joni Ernst, a combat veteran previously seen as a Hegseth skeptic, appearing more supportive.
Will you support women continuing to have the opportunity to serve in combat roles?
My answer is yes, exactly the way that you caveated it. Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high.
Trump transition officials tell me they were extremely pleased with Hegseth's performance. Remember, he can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes if all Democrats support him. With Iowa's Joni Ernst announcing she will be a yes on Hegseth, his path to confirmation looks clear, possibly as early as next week.
All right, Garrett, thank you so much. Let's keep this conversation going. Look ahead to another notable confirmation hearing coming up today. Pam Bondi, she's President-elect Trump's pick for Attorney General. NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley is here to talk about this. Ryan, good morning. Just first of all, remind us about Bondi's background and a little bit about her relationship with the president-elect.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, so she has more of a, I think, traditional background that you might expect from a nominee to be Attorney General. She served as Attorney General for the state of Florida, but what there are some concerns about her is just the closeness of her relationship with Donald Trump and whether or not she's going to be able to have any independence or make decisions without, interference from the president. Because obviously Donald Trump at this point, coming into his second term, has repeatedly made clear that he wants the Justice Department to act the way he wants it to act. This has been a series of, scandals, including with the Mueller report, his firing of several officials. Jeff Sessions was pushed out. He fired the first FBI director, now the second FBI director that he had appointed back during his first term as being sort of forced out, and he's nominated a new person. So I think that's really what you can see. You'll expect to see from Democrats is question whether or not she's going to be able to act with any independence from Trump.
Yeah, let's get more specific into some of those concerns raised by Democrats, especially how she's echoed calls by Mr. Trump to prosecute political opponents. How much are we going to see Democrats focus on this when she is questioned today by those senators on the Judiciary Committee?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely go back to some of her rhetoric here. But, the goalposts have really been shifted a lot, right? Because if you think about it, Donald Trump's first nominee for Attorney General was accused of sexually assaulting a 17-year-old and paying that 17-year-old for sex. So what we're talking about here, it sort of has moved the window of conduct, certainly, when you're talking about Pam Bondi, because in comparison to his first nominee, this seems like much more of a, quote, normie pick. You would think that this would be someone who would be considered more team normal versus, the previous nominee, Matt Gaetz. So I think that we'll see Democrats, try to ask some aggressive questions, but based on, the experience with Pete Hegseth, it's a question of whether or not they'll be able to land any real blows.
Yeah, another bone of contention for Democrats, Bondi's previous support of Mr. Trump's efforts to try and overturn the 2020 election results. Some of the images we saw moments ago of her were in that vein. Also, his plans to pardon January 6 rioters. How much do we expect those issues to come up today?
Yeah, I believe that video is actually from Philadelphia, and that was in the lead up to the infamous Four Seasons Total Landscaping press conference that was given in the aftermath of the 2020 election. Pam Bondi sort of fell away from this, I think, as a lot of more respectable lawyers did, because they realized just how complete garbage all of the Trump campaign's claims were, and that they had no legal merit, as has been proven time and time again in court. And now the Jack Smith report came out, and the question answering the question there. And apparently, what Jack Smith's team has said is that Donald Trump couldn't have possibly believed any of these lies because they were just so ludicrous and crazy about the 2020 election. So now the question is, where did Pam Bondi fall on that? When did the sort of, when did she recognize that this was complete garbage, this was ridiculous, and when did she choose to fall away from that effort in comparison to what she was saying publicly? Because really, if you think about it, none of these lawyers who actually think about this, who rub a couple of brain cells together, put their heads together and look at the facts and the law, recognize that these claims were false. So the question is, when did that really occur to her, and when did she speak that out publicly about that? And why didn't she speak out publicly about just how ridiculous those claims were Donald Trump was making at the time?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.